Good afternoon, traders and investors. Will back here with another one. Busy day in the markets today, guys, as our markets did get lifted up by some positive economic data in the morning here with producer inflation, some jobless claims as well, and consumer sales growth, right? And also, we did have the famous ARM IPO today. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it was a big one. So we'll look into that as well. We also had some ADOBE earnings. So we'll look into those three things. And then of course, we will look into our major indexes on the technicals, see where we're at, our major tech names as well. And no portfolio updates. I did make a few trades, but figured I should show you everything tomorrow on Friday as we close out the end of a pretty good week here. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. SPY up 0.86%, QQQ up 0.82%, all green across the board here, guys. And IDOBE Russell putting in a nice hefty day here. Been a while since I've seen a 1.5% day on the Russell, so that always does feel good. Take a look at the heat map real quick. You will see that broad market rally was in store for the day. So this is exactly what you like to see. Only a few negative elements here, Netflix and Visa dragging down their respective sectors, but it wasn't enough as the entire market pulled up green here. Beautiful day on the markets as a whole. You can see this on the one-day relative performance. We had some outperformance pretty much all across the board, which swung the things into positive territory on the 1 week relative. So looking fairly good on the day, guys. Bulls doing a great job here of pulling back up. So what exactly contributed to this, guys? Well, we had some economic data, which we're going to look into very quickly before moving on to other things. That's the wrong tab, my bad. So PPI, right? PPI, producer price inflation, came out after CPI yesterday. And what happened? Well, as you can see, guys, there is a slight uptick here on the good side of things, but on the services side of things, we did taper out flat versus last month at 0.3%. So you can see this blue line is services. Services are pretty much, guys, back in line with the last roughly 10 years of data, right? So no big points there. Services coming cleanly down here over the course of the past year. And on the good side, well, goods also, you can argue that they are a bit slightly above right now. Sorry, this graph keeps moving around. But guys, as a whole, core has been coming down. We are in line, and most of this move right here was due to rising oil prices. So energy, once again, responsible for a lot of this move here. But if you remove energy here, right, if we remove goods, less energy and food, as the CPI does as well, you will see that this line is steadily trending down back to normal, guys. That is exactly what you want to see on the day here today. So can't be more happier than that indeed. We also had a few good results here on jobless claims. Jobless claims did come in a bit lower. So the economy is still strong, and consumer spending as well is strong. Came in at 0.6% month over month, as opposed to the consensus, which was expected to be 0.1%. So the economy, people are spending through the potential higher interest rates here. But as I've always reminded on the channel, this is kind of a double-edged sword, right? If people continue spending through high interest rate environments, it does contribute a little bit to inflation here. However, it also contributes to keeping the economy healthy, keeping GDP healthy without blowing it out of proportions. Basically, what I'm trying to say here, guys, is if these things continue in the way that they are, with inflation slowly trending down and the Fed not needing to aggressively hike rates, right? Potentially 1 or 2 more interest rate hikes, and that's it. Well, guys, we have pretty much hit the plateau here in terms of the Fed threading the needle. It was a very difficult thing to pull off, but they've been doing a very good job, and the economy has reacted quite well in the grand scheme of things, guys, to this aggressive policy by the Fed that they started pretty much last year here. So that was a very good report here today. Pretty much jumped us up. We also had some news out of the EU. EU also increased interest rates here and did forecast for higher inflation for longer. But it goes to, why was that interpreted as bullish, guys? It's because they are in control of what they're doing now. Things are no longer running away. And as I responded to somebody's comment yesterday, the market loves certainty, guys. What the market doesn't like is getting data that pops up like this, really to extremely high levels, and then there's no clear guidance as to where the Federal Reserve is going to stop rates, no clear path of terminal rates, still supply chain issues and whatnot. So as of this year, we've worked through a lot of that stuff already, which is why the market is able to price in these things more accurately, and why we're not getting big drops even with these upticks in inflation, because the market loves certainty. And so far, we're just continuing down the path and no big X factors are rearing their heads, right? So that's pretty much it for your recap here on the economic data that led the markets to rise here. Second, we're going to tackle some Adobe earnings before getting into our ARM IPO. So Adobe earnings after hours today, right? Bit of an outlier here. Not much earnings other than Oracle this week, but I figure I should cover Adobe because a lot of people do cover this stock here. So Adobe, not a great beat, but a beat indeed, right? So earnings 4.09 versus 3.97, beat it by about 3% here. And on the revenue here, also a very slight 0.5% beat here. So all in all, guys, I did read through Adobe earnings very, very briefly, but there was nothing really crazy about these earnings, right? You can see them down about 2% in after hours, even though they got a beat. Guys, this is going to be the same thing as we've been talking about pretty much all of this earnings season, right? If you look at Adobe, right? Adobe has pretty much been up since the beginning of the year. They are currently up 66%, right? So as we were saying in all of our previous earnings, unless a company gets absolutely ridiculous, outstanding results like NVIDIA had 2 quarters ago, they are not going to exponentially jump these 10-15% in a day, right? If they just come in line or barely in line, just like Adobe did, and raise guidance, even though they beat here, it is not enough, especially after such a big yearly move, to push the stock much higher here. So if you go into the Adobe Investor Relations page, you'll see that they did very, very well, posting double-digit growth for everything, right? Total revenue, 10% year over year, right? This is the constant currency basis, but we'll go with just the flat currency basis here. Digital media segment, 11% year over year, right? Digital experience segment, 10% year over year. Digital experience subscription revenue, 12% year over year. So very good numbers by Adobe indeed, if I do say so myself, but just nothing outstanding, guys, right? They did a very good job here, right? 10% global year over year growth. But they also had, which is not mentioned here, they had a 20% year over year growth in EPS. So they are bringing in more money on a per share basis, bringing more money to the bottom line. I'll remind you guys that Adobe is a very profitable company with very healthy net margins as well, right? Net margins in the 27-30% range for the last couple of years. And this year should be no different. So they are just grinding higher, no real red flags in sight here, right? So very decent earnings by Adobe as a whole, right? It's just nothing absolutely outstanding on the company. They did reiterate that they were going to continue with their AI endeavors and continue raising prices on their subscription models starting in November, but just nothing groundbreaking, guys. No new product releases, right? No new segments of revenue that they were potentially opening and attacking, just pretty much building and honing in on what they have already, reducing costs. They did do a good job of repurchasing around $2 million in shares over the course of the year. So that is also a positive as well. So everything working really positively for Adobe here, just not enough to really get that lift in the share price from some ridiculous news releases or things that people did not see coming already, right? And then lastly, we are going to tackle our famous ARM IPO. So this stock currently IPO'd today around the $55 mark. It's set right around noontime here and proceeded, even in the after hours, to rise another 17%. All the way to $65, guys. So market valuation on this at this point, guys, is probably going to be $57 billion. And if you're wondering if that's a good thing, well, let's just do some math here because we don't see the PE as of now. But if you take last year's trailing revenue and net income, right? So price to earnings, if you take this right here, right, let's say they have a $56 billion valuation and they're only bringing in around $631 million. This year, they're said to bring in around $1 billion. So let's say we do it on a forward basis and they keep the same valuation for the rest of the year. So you do have, right, $56 billion here in market cap. But if you only divide that, right, by, let's say $1 billion in net income, well, you're left with a PE ratio of 56, right? And they're only bringing around $3 billion. It'll be closer to $4 billion this year. So even at that, guys, 56 divided by 4, you're looking at 14 price to sales. So the company is not priced at an attractive level right now. It is fairly expensive. Now, it's new and hot, which a lot of companies have had in the past, guys. You look at the biggest IPOs, and this is what's going to happen all the time. Pop off of IPO, and then usually retraces. That was Airbnb, right? We'll look at another few ones, right? Uber, same thing. Pop after the IPO and then retraces a little bit. We'll look at another one here. Snowflake was a massive one. Warren Buffett invested in this one, right? pop initially after the IPO, and then come down a little bit. So a lot of these IPOs, guys, even though they're very, very big and they're very, very popular, you can potentially get some prices for re-entry here. So no need to really get impatient here over these stocks, but ARM representing a very, very good opportunity in the future. I will keep this one on the watch list here, right? So if you'll see the article here, right? This is going to be, let me pull it up real quick. So this is what ARM does, right? So ARM, look at their website. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful website, guys. If you don't know what they do, they provide the IP and technology input for semiconductors. They also provide a very decent software suite. They are partnered with almost everybody, guys. If you look at this here, right? While many Americans likely haven't heard of ARM, most use the company's products daily. Apple, Samsung, NVIDIA, and Google use ARM's designs and instructions to create their chips. The firm is essential in the production of smartphones, laptops, video games, televisions, and GPS units. Companies including Apple, Google, NVIDIA, AMD, Samsung, and TSMC, right? TSM, have indicated interest in acting as a cornerstone investors in the offering, according to a filing last week. Funny little tidbit of information here, guys. If you don't know, so this is a company that's owned by SoftBank. SoftBank acquired them years ago for around 30, I think it was 31 or 32 billion dollars. So just the fact that they IPO'd them in the $50 billion range, they are up a decent amount of money. Fun fact here, NVIDIA actually tried to purchase this company for around that same price. They tried to acquire them a few years ago now. I believe it was in 2018 for around $40 billion. But SoftBank said no because they didn't agree to the terms of the deal. They weren't retaining enough of a controlling interest for their liking here. So NVIDIA actually tried to buy these guys. And what ARM does, they do not manufacture these chips. All they do is the design behind them and the licensing of their IP. So that's pretty much what they do. If you can see all the way down here, they have a big partner section here where you can actually apply to be a partner for them. You can see all of their major partners here: AWS, Cadence, Fujitsu, massive companies, Google, Marvell, MediaTek, right? We have a few more. You'll see Qualcomm in there, Samsung, Synopsys, right? So a lot of big partners here, guys. But as a whole, I would tend to personally wait for this IPO. I do believe that there may be an opportunity to acquire them at potential lower prices here. They did a great job here today at raising interest, raising popularity for the company here. But you can see, if you want to check, I won't go over it all, but you can check this article by Reuters here that they wrote pretty much today. ARM's 52 billion IPO valuation sets the stage for a fall. It basically states that although ARM is growing revenue at around 25% a year, the valuation is rich. So you can see that their revenue will be growing all the way through 2025. Their earnings per share, right? Their operating profit, which translates into EPS, will also be growing here. But the valuation is still high here, guys. They do run fairly good margins as well. I have no complaint on that. If we pull back up the chart of ARM, you'll see that their margins are always between 20 and 25% in terms of net operating margins here. Their gross margins are absolutely ridiculous in the 90%, but they only bring back a fraction of that to the bottom line here. So we will see how ARM performs now as a publicly listed company, if they can continue to garner interest in them. But for me personally, guys, it is a bit rich as of now, so I will be patient. If I can get them previous to IPO prices, potentially in the low 50s or even $40 range, let's say they do go through a bit of a dip here, well, I will potentially be looking to acquire this company, as it will be very essential here. It has a lot of essential partners in the semiconductor industry, and we know that that industry will be expanding over the next few years here. So definitely a must-have in terms of a player on your watch list here. They are very important in what they do. So all that being said, guys, let's now get into our major indexes here. So starting off real quick here, SPY did exactly what we wanted it to do, guys. Daily uptrend, we were looking for it. It was becoming a tightening range over here. We needed to see either one of two things: break of Monday's trading or a break pretty much of last Thursday. Well, we got it, guys. They just reconfirmed a nice little daily uptrend here within this whole pattern. So bulls have now regained control of the daily uptrend here. So your weekly push does continue. We'll see how the week ends here, guys. But I'd like them to get as close as tomorrow's green. I'd like to see them get as close as possible to this 454. But bulls now in control of the daily timeframes here, in control as well of your weekly bounce. Weekly bounce still underway here. Weekly uptrend was never lost, right? Hesitated a bit here, but still a nice weekly uptrend. So we will see if they continue that into next week's trading, but no real red flags as of now, guys. Your new higher low becomes 445.39 all the way down there. QQQ, same thing here, guys. QQQ with the break as well. Daily uptrend was in jeopardy of potentially being lost if we saw a flush of 370, but the bulls didn't allow that to happen. Closed slightly above Monday's trading here, right around the 377 mark here. So we'll see tomorrow if they can continue pushing here. I'd like to see them get as close as possible tomorrow or Monday and break this 380.61 previous high here. That'll really get some legs into this daily motion to the upside, and we'll continue your weekly push higher. I'll remind you, weekly uptrend was never lost. We got the higher low. Now we're just looking for further continuation. So looking good, guys, on SPY and QQQ, especially if we can see some continued participation from XLF and healthcare. No red flags on that right away. XLF now, financials doing a great job here of continuing this daily push, daily uptrend. Heavily underway. This is what I've been waiting for financials to do now for 2 weeks, right? So looking very good on the daily. Any pullback at this point on the daily will just be for daily higher low. Anything above 34.10 roughly will just be that daily higher low. Bulls working with a lot of space. We now have previous resistance as support down here at 34.50-ish, and we will have the moving averages as well. So any pullback I do expect will be bought up by the bulls. Banks coming back now. Weekly is pretty much saved at this point. We got the weekly higher low a few weeks ago down here at 33.60, right? And now the weekly uptrend continues. So we'll see, can this daily uptrend continue to push higher and higher up into your 35.75 area of previous resistance and really continue the weekly uptrend into our higher levels of resistance? That's what I want to see the bulls do. If we can get continued push by financials here, I do think that it will be a good job in lifting your SPY to higher highs and potentially new 52-week highs, looking good, especially with this economic data. Healthcare with an up day, but finish on a red candle, still at 0.32% for the day. Healthcare bounce continuing right now, so I need to see them take back as much of this move as possible, guys. This move is still not topped out. Bulls doing a great job here of getting above our little support area here, so now they have that to work with. Getting above our moving averages here on the day as well. So I'd like to see healthcare bulls pull up a bit higher here into around the 134.50 range. If we can get as high as that, guys, can potentially set up beautifully for a daily trend change, and will also be saving potentially the furtherance of your weekly downtrend, setting up some space, maybe some space enough to reverse here. So we'll take this one day at a time. Since we're still in a daily downtrend here, the likely scenario is always for a lower high, okay, compared to this guy right here. But how low is that lower high going to be? Okay, need it to come as high as possible, create the space for the daily trend change here. So now when the bulls do pull back here, decent amount of space, guys, above 130.87 to set up the daily trend change. Good support down here, so let's keep an eye on it. ADOBE Russell finally coming to life a little bit, but even with a 1.5% day, hasn't done much, right, guys? So that's very unfortunate for the Russell, but at least they're not coming down lower. So now we are in a kind of like a triple bottom area down here. This will be the line in the sand. It still remains put at 181.76 here. So what I need to see the bulls do here, daily downtrend was confirmed. Now we've engulfed this second leg. I know it wasn't a big leg, but that is still a daily downtrend, right? But we've now engulfed this most recent move. So can the bulls push higher and reverse the daily trend to the upside here? That is going to be the key crucial question, because also we are flirting with weekly disaster. If we were to come back down here and flush this area, I'll remind you, it would have been a weekly downtrend, but for now the bulls playing good defense. So I need to see the bulls put in some space. I would like to see them come up at least in the 187, 188 range here, creating enough space here for the daily trend change. We're going to take this one day at a time. Bulls playing a good amount of defense, and obviously if we come back down here and flush, guys, you are looking out for that weekly downtrend into further monthly consolidation. So I hope for the Russell Bulls that doesn't happen here, but they do have a lot of work to do. Dow Jones, beautiful day on the Dow Jones, guys, almost up 1%, right? Been a while since we've seen a 1% day, almost 2-3 weeks at this point, right? Tuesday, 29th of August. So daily uptrend is currently in motion here, guys, right? Never losing, trading inside here. So we are looking for the daily continuation of this daily uptrend reversal, right? What I need to see, guys, break of 35,070. Break of 35,070 will really confirm this daily uptrend. It'll put a lot of space between our most recent higher low. But if we do pull back for some reason, guys, still a lot of space to work with here. Anything above 34,300, we'll just be looking for the furtherance of a potential tightening accumulation range down here. We are above our big area of per current support right now. We are above our moving averages. So that was a big win for the bulls on the day, if you do ask me, right? Getting above those areas of confluence is absolutely crucial. Now, what I need to see them do over the next few days, get me above 35,080, and we will be talking good. Once again, weekly uptrend is still in motion here, guys. Still looking for the bulls to take back more of this move here and set up for the continuation here of this weekly uptrend higher. The weekly uptrend will continue higher as long as we remain in a daily uptrend. Bulls creating a lot of space here. So we'll see, can they do it? Will they be able to do it in one shot V-shape like this? Will they potentially have to two-step it by accumulating a bit more? We will see, but bulls looking healthy now off of this move, guys. Now, let's get into big tech. Bitcoin not doing too much, won't talk about it. So, big tech, Apple saving the day right here, right? So, coming down and almost flushing our 173.67 area, which was the crucial line in the sand area we were looking out for. So, good job by Apple bulls. What I need to see Apple bulls now at this point, guys, get above 180.4. If we can start getting back above here, 180.4 sets up the room for the daily trend change here and potential rise. But flush it and flush this 172.25 area, guys, you will be in a weekly downtrend. So bulls playing a tremendous amount of defense in this sweet spot. No surprise here. It has been a previous big area of resistance, so it won't be surprising here if they do use it as big support as well. I'll remind you, I do have a position on Apple, the 175 puts, which if it closes below there tomorrow, I will be assigned some shares. Would love to own shares of Apple in this range. I've been waiting for this pullback and it's finally here, but bulls still with a lot of work to do. Need to see the push above 180.22, and then I will be satisfied that the daily downtrend is negated, potentially setting up for a daily uptrend here and saving this weekly downtrend from happening, right? That's what I want to see from Apple bulls. So we'll take this one at a time. AMD here, AMD also with a fairly decent day here, guys, right? Pretty much it pushed up in the morning and then closed red. NVIDIA did good, but AMD unfortunately did bad. So still in this little tightening range here. What you don't want to see here, guys, is a break of 103.28. Break the 103.28, your daily downtrend will unfortunately be reset. And we will be looking for the furtherance, potentially, of this weekly down swing here, okay? But still within my trading range here, still within my sweet spot. So the longer it stays down here, I'll reiterate, longer it stays down here, the more I can write options in this level, which I'm quite pleased about. But now losing our 107 support, again, it's a battle down here, guys. A big, big, big battle down here. What I need to see from AMD bulls here is over the next few days, I need to see the crack of the 111.30 for a confirmed daily uptrend. As of now, guys, just watch out. 103 is your key line in the sand level. Lose this and we're looking towards our lows here around $100. But if they can recover here and break your 111, you will set your first daily uptrend since all the way back here in July. So keep an eye on that for AMD. Amazon here, Amazon not doing much, finishing flat on the day, but can't blame them too much. Amazon had a beautiful week here. So we are still looking for a daily higher low. Any pullback will just be for a daily higher low. Tons of support, decent horizontal support all the way here, and confluence with your moving averages. So really not worried about Amazon. Tons of space, daily higher low. Anything above 134 is just going to be for that. Amazon resistance stays put currently at the 145 level, and then we're all the way up here, guys, into the 170 level. So currently flirting with this resistance like it right here, but weekly uptrend confirmed, so any little pullback even into next week potentially on Amazon will just be for a weekly higher low as well. Tons of support in this area that they'll be able to use. So really not worried for Amazon. Amazon looking very, very, very good, guys, and not even extended on the short time frames. A bit on the 4 hour here, even on the 1 hour, not so much. So on the daily, tons of space still to continue to move higher. Let's move on to Google now. Google doing a great job here, pushing the 52-week highs on Google, 139 at this point. So Google tightening range and now blast through the tightening range. Not by much, I'll agree, but they did get through it. So I'll need to see some continuation here on Google and not have a look above and break down below here, right? So nice little daily uptrend continuation, pulled in NVIDIA, right? Moved up, consolidated at the high, like we were saying in yesterday's video, and now pushes up. So now that we're higher, guys, we are looking to our future area of resistance. It will be the 145 area. Google looking very healthy on the weekly. Absolute full bull control on all time frames. Monthly bulls, weekly bulls, daily bulls. They control everything, guys. Line in the sand level for me on the downside, 134.18. Look above and lose 134.18. We are into weekly consolidation, but bulls, tons of space, guys. Anything above 128 is just going to be for a weekly higher low. Looking good on Google. Meta finally, a nice 2% day on Meta, guys. Daily upswing continues here. Now, creating a lot of space. 276 is your daily higher low. Grinding, 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 grinding. Any pullback is for a daily higher low for continuation of the daily uptrend. At this point, guys, Meta taking back a lot of this move now nicely. I wasn't satisfied for the first 2 weeks, but now Meta proving that the bulls are still around, guys, taking back over your 618 level, almost up to 70%. So now it's going to get very tough for the bears to just shoot this down here, right? The bulls are going to have enough space to potentially, if they have to take a breather, set up for a weekly trend change back to the bulls. I mean, they never lost the weekly, but the story was always, can they V-shape this in one shot, or will they have to two-step this? Well, now they can V-shape it. They put in a nice move, but they can also two-step this. They create a lot of space that your bears are going to really struggle to take this down above your moving averages here, setting tons and tons of support down here. So it's going to be tough for the bears now to flush this 300 psychological after it took so long for the bulls to break it. The bears arguably will have the same amount of difficulty in breaking it to the downside. So Meta just grinding higher here. I would like to see them come up close as possible to this 320 range. Come up to the 320 range, guys. And that's pretty much, you'll set up beautifully. If they can't break it in one shot, set up nicely for the two-step here. Microsoft as well, putting in a nice 1% day here, almost 1%. Not as strong as Meta, but still, guys, anything above 319 at this point on Microsoft, any pullback for your daily higher low. Same thing, guys. 330 was a big psychological area of resistance. Bulls will now be able to use it as support on the downside, trading above our moving averages. And even Microsoft, guys, starting to take back a decent amount of this move. This is what you want to see, guys. Taking back a decent amount of the move. Now, Microsoft bulls up to 50% of this move. So it's going to be very tough for the bears to flush this and set a weekly downtrend unless the macro just completely falls apart here, which I don't forecast in the next few weeks. Could be a decent opportunity for some Microsoft recovery here, right? Still, any pullback down below is just for a daily higher low for daily uptrend continuation. So monthly bulls, full control. Weekly bulls, still full control, right? Never lost the weekly uptrend. And now daily bulls regaining the nice daily uptrend like this. So Microsoft bulls in full control here. Could this be the only 2 months of consolidation on Microsoft? We will see. Now let's move down to our last three. Tesla moving nicely on the day, guys. Almost up 2% on the day. We'll see. Can they push 280 on tomorrow, or will they have to pull back a little bit? Tesla looking absolutely beautiful here. Daily upswing does continue right here. Consolidated a bit, but not losing any ground whatsoever here. So still a little bit of a gap fill down here at the 260 area. Any pullback is for a daily higher low for daily trend change continuation. Monthly bulls look absolutely amazing on Tesla. Weekly bulls also look very beautiful on Tesla at this point, guys. Watch out. The bulls have now taken back, look at this, almost 80% of the move. So bulls arguably setting up very beautifully when they do pull back for the weekly trend change. I'll remind you, they lost the weekly uptrend here. So now they have to set a new weekly uptrend in 2 steps. We're going to wait for that pullback. Whenever that pullback does happen, I will be potentially adding more positions on Tesla here on the short put side. But for now, no real red flags on Tesla. Your resistance, if we continue pushing higher without consolidating, your resistance, guys, remains put at this earnings break right here, 295 to 300. Great job on Tesla. Palantir still doing absolutely nothing, guys. Still same analysis here. Going to need to see a break of 1640 or to the downside at this point, 1430, right? So really trapped in this tightening range. Bulls grinding it away here, guys, but Palantir, as opposed to all of those names, Palantir with a disappointing move to the upside. I mean, bulls are still above this 12 EMA, this yellow line right here, but just not putting in enough of a move. So Palantir doing absolutely nothing. Need to see a break of this 1630 level here, guys, to really cement this daily uptrend as being in motion and really start taking back more of this weekly move. I'm still not satisfied, guys. It still doesn't look good to me. Obviously, Palantir is getting helped by the general market here, but not doing much on its own. So PayPal, our last one, PayPal with a beautiful day, 2.5% on PayPal. Daily uptrend continues now, cracking our previous highs, $64. We're now above it, $64.50 almost we hit. So daily uptrend continues on PayPal. The bulls are listening to me. I wanted them to push into the 65, 66 range. So we'll see. This weekly bounce does continue here. Daily uptrend, as long as it's not lost, your weekly uptrend does continue here. So we'll see what the bulls can do. But now any pullback above $60, 60.23 is just going to be for a daily higher low. Good moving average support here as well. So we'll see how high can they get. If they do get this high, guys, next week I'll be writing some covered calls. So we'll see. PayPal bulls set up nicely. Not going to lie, just grinding away here. I need to see a bit more grind into this weekly move to set up for the weekly trend change. So that's pretty much everything I had for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, consider liking it. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. And as always, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. Options, analysis, stocks, macro, as you wish. So I love you guys. I'll see you after the close tomorrow. Take care and peace.